Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video. And if you guys are like me and you're into knives, you know this experience that I'm going to tell you about. There are some knives out there that just seem to call your name. Knives that just appeal to you on any number of levels. And if you have been around for very long, you know that this knife is one of those knives. In fact, when I did my first impressions video on this knife, this is my Curtis F3 medium. I called it a Grail knife, and truly it meets that criteria for me. This was a knife that I have watched and been interested in and loved for many, many years. And so I was extremely excited to be able to get my hands on one. And I gotta tell you, I have loved this knife, and I do love this knife. It is phenomenal. Now, there aren't very many knives that I could think of in the world that I would prefer over this knife, that I would want to spend money on as much as this knife, that I would enjoy having as much as this, but there is one, okay? And I'm gonna show it to you right now. This is the knife that I could think of that I would prefer to my Curtis F3. That is a larger Curtis F3. Recently, these were available from Dave's website, and I was able to get my hands on one. I did spend a little bit of extra money to get some blue anodized hardware, and I will say that's one of the things I regretted about this one. Having had it for a while, I've often looked at that hardware and thought, you know, it would be nice to upgrade it. And that's not, of course, out of the question. Dave does offer decorative pivots sometimes for sale that you could get and upgrade your knife. Anyway, so in this one, I did go with a colored pivot. And let me get the other one out so you can have this, you can kind of get a look at the difference in size. There we go. Yeah, so you can see why I would prefer the large to the medium F3. Okay, the medium is a good size knife, very hand filling, very nice. Totally a capable knife without any doubt. However, you guys know I like larger knives, and certainly, you know, the just over 3 inches on the F3 medium was a little short for my preferences. And so when I saw these available, I was pretty excited to get my hands on one. And so now it's here. I've only had this for a day or so, and I've got to say, I'm thoroughly impressed with it. Now, I'm not going to go into huge detail because you can always go back and watch the full review of this knife. By the way, I will do a full review on this just because, you know, they're different enough that they deserve to be treated in separate videos, but the features are the same. So very quickly, I'll give you the size and weight and then talk about the features and then sort of give you my overall take on this knife so far. Weight on this guy, or size and weight on this guy, 8 7/8 overall. So fairly large knife, not huge, okay? I have lots of knives that are over 9 inches, some knives that are over 10 inches. So it's not the biggest knife I own, but it's definitely big at nearly 9 inches long. The blade length on this guy is 3 13/16. The handle is 5 1/16, okay? And the weight is a fairly hefty 7 ounces, okay? And 7 ounces is heavy for a folder, guys. But if you just take a look at the construction and the components of this knife, you know, it's not surprising at all that it weighs that much. And honestly, if you love this, but feel like it's just a little too heavy, you could, Dave does do versions where there's a bunch of milling done on the handle that would lighten up the knife a substantial amount. Now those extra bits of work are going to add cost to the knife, no question. By the way, if you're watching this and thinking, why would anyone ever buy a knife of that for that price point? I'm going to make a video that kind of talks about knives of this sort of style and caliber and what the appeal is and where the value comes from, why they cost what they do. Trying to give you a good look at that blade there. So you can see the blade here is the same drop point, Spanto ground blade, hollow grind, really, really nice edge geometry, stonewash finish, CTS XHP blade, D2 stainless steel lock bar insert. Again, the decorative pivot on this one, like the other one, does serve as an over travel stop. Really, really good functional jimping in all the right places. The clip is the same clip. It definitely does the job, and I've talked about the fact that I would kind of like to see something a little different there, but certainly I'm not going to it's not a deal breaker for me, as you can see, since I've got the knife right here in front of you. Also, notice the finish on this titanium is just a little bit different. If I hold them, there we go, you can see that it's almost a little darker or something, maybe a little bronzier. I'm not sure exactly how to describe it. Maybe it's just, you know, the effect that the blue hardware has. It makes it look a little darker just to the human eye. And now I want to take a second to let you see that hardware. Dave is known for doing really, really good work with his anodizing, and this knife is no exception. So I'm absolutely pleased that I opted for a couple more dollars, and it wasn't a lot more to get the colored hardware. Really, really excited about that. Other features are the same, you know, so it's ceramic ball bearing, ceramic bearing, ceramic detent ball, which do make the knife very, very smooth. A couple of immediate differences that I can notice between this guy and the medium. This is going to, the detent is about the same. That means that this blade comes out just a teeny bit slower. It's very smooth and it's still very fast, but consider if the detent is basically the same, you're building up the same amount of kinetic energy here, but you're moving a lot more material. So it's bound to be just a little bit slower. Also, this knife drops closed a little faster, which you would expect just based on the weight of the knife. So you can see this one I have to shake a little bit. This one I don't, and that's again because of the weight there. So there are some minor differences, nothing really crazy though. Overall, guys, you guys know that I like larger knives, and I will say there is some extra utility that comes with a knife of this length. Just today I was cutting some apples. My wife runs a coffee time, playtime organization out of the church, and I was cutting some apple slices for the kids. And, you know, there's a definite advantage to having those extra inches of blade length when it comes to things like cutting stuff in half, where the reach that you have with that knife really does make a difference. There you go, guys. So, okay, so my overall first impression on this is, you know, yeah, bigger in this case is better. There's a little extra utility that comes with this. There's a little more real estate on the handle. You get some different options in terms of where you can grip the knife, where you have to grip the knife. And I'll speak more about all of those things when we get to the full review. Suffice to say that I'm very, very pleased with this. And, you know, if you're looking for something in that high-end, you know, mid-tech to budget customs in that market, I think this is probably one of the better options that are out there. In fact, I would say, well, this is the only custom that I've ever bought, right? So that probably tells you what I think of it. I think this knife compares well to lots of things that are around its price point, and I think it's better than most of them. So there you go. That's my first impression on the large Curtis F3. Look forward to the full review. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of the other cool stuff that's going to be coming out here shortly, and we'll talk to you soon.